Welcome to Life After Work. My name is Solomon, and today we're going to start rebuilding a bumblebee. I've removed the top of the bumblebee from the old works, and it was a big job. Bet you thought I was going to say something different. Well, that too. However, I found that I've got a piece here. It's a weight, and we all know how much weights are important to have a locomotive pull. This weight switches over to here. I've checked all the points, and yes, they're there. So that's not a big deal. I simply have to release some of the wiring from the front of this, and I'll be able to switch this top, this locomotive, over to this chassis. Now, for those of you who are concerned about my empty box and how I managed it, I'll let you know. I had screws that all of them had to be removed to separate this, so I couldn't take one out and put it back in. So what I've done is I've separated my empty box. It's facing this way. I did turn this around, but the two in the back are in the opposite bins here. But you can't see that. Here you go. The two in the back are in bins on opposite sides of the back. The one that I had in the front is in this one. The two in the middle of the locomotive, down here and over there, they're in the middle bins here on each side. And the four that were the final ones I took out that were just behind that, they're right here. So I know where they're supposed to go back. I can put them in right now, but frankly, I'm very quickly going to go ahead and swap this over. So we'll see how it works out. Truth is, it's going okay, but let me tell you, you don't just take out one or two screws and separate a locomotive. Right now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 screws just to get to this point. And then I kind of had to work it because that thing hadn't been apart since they built it. So we're getting there. Anyway, when I put it back together, my empty box better be empty or I'll be in trouble. And what I will do now, and that's this block right here, this weight block. This is very heavy. This is a chunk of steel. Just so you know, this is a chunk of steel. I'll take these two screws out, I'll lift this off, and I will immediately put it over here on the new chassis. So we're getting there. It's just listen, if you don't expect a little work, you're fooling yourself. So we'll get there. Things are going good. Be back with you later. Okay guys, I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to give you just a little trick. If you haven't figured it out, keep a pair of pliers. You don't have to have huge ones, just something with a little bit of knurl on it. If you can't get a screw out, it's because it's been seated in the plastic for a long time. Just stick your screwdriver in it and listen for a crack. Now you probably didn't hear that. I heard the crack, and that meant that the screw turned loose. Let's see if maybe this time, and I can't get it without this. There you go. You probably didn't hear those cracks. They're very, very minute, and if you listen to them, you'll know you don't need the pliers anymore. Just go ahead and back them out, which is what I'm doing, and As soon as I get them far enough to lift this weight off, I'll put the weight on the new chassis. I think it's neat that they didn't have to replace the weight on the new chassis. The weight's the weight. I think that's great. And all you have to do is transfer it. And there are probably going to be a number of things I transfer, because if they don't need to be to upgrade this chassis, then Bachmann probably didn't do it. So there you go. Let's move this over and zoom it in and see if we can get the new chassis work. And I'll pull this around. Come on. Let's yeah, we can make this work. So let's now try to mount this weight right here, and I'll get it started on this end. And this is perfect alignment. They're still using the same plastic chassis. They're just adding the electronics. So let's put this in. And truthfully, I wish I had a small electric screwdriver. That would make this go much faster. But it's sitting down good and tight, and I'll just go back to, here we go, I'll go back to my pliers, and I'll let the knurl on the pliers get, the teeth on the pliers get the knurl on the screwdriver. And we'll make this work. There you go. Part 1 transferred. Now, oh, that's good. Nice and firm. And that adds a tremendous amount of weight. And that's what we need on locomotives. So I'll get back with you shortly. I'm going to keep investigating, because frankly, I'm not an expert on this. I'm learning as I go. And it started with disassembling my $10 Loco so that I kind of see how to take things apart. It always helps to learn. So here we go. Okay, everyone. I've got the new chassis right there in front of you. I put the weight on. I transferred it already from the old locomotive. It's really necessary for these large scales to have extra weight, so the fact that they design it in and build it in is a great thing. Now, over here, I've got the body of the locomotive off. This was not easy, people. I had to keep looking for screws. I thought 4 screws were going to do it, and then I found some hidden way up in there that I couldn't even find for the longest time. So this was fun, actually. It's sort of getting there and going through the process, and once you get there and it separates easily, you say, oh boy, that was easy. But it wasn't. Now, up here in the smoke box, I did have to, I'm going to show this, you probably won't be able to see it. I did have to remove a switch. Didn't disconnect anything so that I can reuse this. Had to take out the smoke unit. Now the smoke unit fortunately came out easily and separately, and I put it over in the empty box. So I've got it to put back in. This chassis can be reused, if not in total, but in part. I mean, I can use this to fix anything because I have a new, updated, modern, anniversary style chassis made for the Bumble Bee. So now what do we do? Well, I've got to put this on this. And yeah, I just said it there. It's not perfect yet. But I started looking at the anniversary model of the 460. And you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on down here that doesn't exist on the old Bumblebee that does exist on the anniversary, just like all of the drive gears. Sorry about that. Up under here, there's some tanks, air tanks. They fit right up in here. I don't have any of those. I'm not going to buy them, by the way, because I don't think I've seen them. However, what I do believe I'll do, I'll take the ones for my Annie. I'll put them on the tabletop. I'll get some rubber molding compound because I'm going to do this to several of these locomotives. None of them have that on it. So if I make one mold and do epoxy casting, I can make those tanks for every one of my locomotives. Now, is that going to be cost effective? I don't know yet. I haven't priced the molding compounds, but I can mold, I can keep casting as many of them as I want to. So that's a case where you have the price per piece going down and down and down depending on how many you make. But that's this whole area under here. It's a big tank. So I'm happy right now. I'm looking real good here. I've just got to make sure this fits. Everything screws together well. All the pieces that I have to concern myself with, I'll show you one right now. I was very pleased that this particular smoke box piece that goes in the front of here had the two openings, one for smoke on and off, the other for NMRA standard and large scale switches. Both of those are on the new chassis. But there's a problem. This hinge right here, there should be one right here. Well, this one doesn't exist. It's broken off, which makes that door that swings open and close, well, it won't stay on. I've got another one of these, but it doesn't have the switch openings. So what do? Well, I'm going to take the one without the switch openings because I'll probably never use it. I'll cut off a hinge, glue it on here, job done. This will end up being used and be very, very good for the locomotive. So I'm getting enthused about this. It's about to start looking real good, and my goal when this is done is this locomotive will look like the picture of that $500 locomotive. You know, I round up, guys, come on, 489, whatever it is, but that $500 locomotive in the catalog. And I'm going to end up with a lot of really good time spent figuring out how to make parts, repeat parts, you know, do all that kind of stuff, and make sure that the old parts, like this one, can find a new home. And I mean, wow, I'm having fun. So this is it for this update. And the next update, we're going to hook up the electrics on this. We're going to hook up the electronics. I am not at this time going to put in sound cards and DCC. My goal is to get it hooked up, get everything put together, make sure everything is there, do a lot of detailing, make sure it runs really well. And I'm telling you, this is beautiful. It's looking good, man. I am really pleased. And once it's all in perfect shape as is, then I'll pull the chassis out from under the body again, and we'll put in sound cards. And I am settling, I think, on Tsunami and I think I'm settling on um, Bachman's DCC system just to stay consistent. I don't have to, but why not? I don't have anything to lose doing that, everything to gain. But we're getting there. So here we are. Now on to the next step. Everybody have a good day. Goodbye.